right, so everybody, my name is Whitney Mork. I am an agent in Birmingham, Alabama. Also, I am the host of the Agency Marketing Masterclass for Agency Media Solutions. And yes, it was approved by compliance, so we are all good. We talk everything from marketing, branding, how to personally brand your agency, from SEO to paid search. So I am extremely excited to be hosting this monthly call. Now, I got a couple of announcements to make. Next month, we're going to have David Peterson, aka Coach P, aka my ginger brother from another mother. Love him. Agency Media Solutions is actually going to be hosting on June 14th. It's going to be Scaling with Profitability. It's a seminar with David Peterson and Alex Shattuck. I am extremely excited about this. So we can see we went ahead and put that link to sign up. This is the last day for early bird tickets. I think it's $179, and then after today it goes to $199. But if you guys haven't signed up, I mean, David and Al, they have helped my agency grow tremendously. I think last year we went from 4 health apps to like 79 in a span of like 6 months. And a lot of that was from Mr. Colter Johnson here as well. So I am extremely excited about our special co-host and guest today, Colter Johnson. He's a team member with Ty Luthi over in Utah and the owner of Team Member Perspective. I know that my agency personally, we use you, and they have rave reviews. I am extremely impressed with what you're doing and how you're helping agents and team members grow. And you're a team member yourself. And once I met you a couple months ago over in Orlando, and I said, this guy right here, he's got it. He really does. And so whatever you were a part of, I wanted my agency to be a part of it as well. So I'm excited to have you on the call today. And I just kind of want to talk about, as a team member, because I was a team member too. I was an aspirant for quite a while. And, it's quite difficult sometimes as an agent. Now that I look at it, you think it's all on your shoulders, right? It's all on you. And it's truly not. It's the team members too that you're making that commission as well. But you're out creating those relationships. You're bringing those connections into the agency to build the relationships. So I want to talk to you today a little bit more about just your strategies and how you do that as a team member. And you never know, we could help other team members and agents on this call as well. So I want to put it over to you and welcome.
Yes, thank you, Whitney, for the introduction. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm excited to share my thoughts. But like Whitney's saying, I am a team member and going on 6 years, so I've been around for a while, right? And when Whitney reached out and asked if I would hop on a call, I was excited about it. And she asked if I would talk a little bit about branding and how I've been able to brand myself as a team member. And so I've spent some time thinking through that, right? Because I think oftentimes as team members, we kind of just let the agent do that, right? And we think that there's nothing that we can really do to brand ourselves, right? So I want to talk through some thoughts that I've had and kind of my philosophy with branding, like branding yourself, right? And I think the first thing that I want to talk about is why does it matter, right? As team members, why is it important that we brand ourselves, right? Well, I think ultimately, right, if you're a team member on this call or if you listen to this recording, I think you need to ask yourself kind of what you want, right? Are you in this to eventually open your own agency? And if you answer yes to that question, I think understanding that it's so important that you brand yourself, right? And I think the way to do that and the fastest way to do that is to get really good at something, right? I think the easiest way to get noticed if you're wanting to become an agent is to get really, really good at something, right? Become a specialist, right? Maybe you find that you're really, really good at writing raw new auto. Maybe you become the raw new auto team member, right? That's a quick way to get noticed. Maybe it's fire, maybe it's life insurance, health insurance, whatever it is. I think one of the things that we can all do is just get really good at a specific line, right? Become a specialist, right? I know for me, a couple years ago, our agency would go and meet with another agency and we would do some practice, right? We do some training together and kind of create a little friendly competition. But I remember being in one of those meetings, one of the agents said, the quickest way that you can get noticed by a sales leader, by someone, is to become a specialist. You get really, really good at something, right? And that stuck with me ever since. And just doing that, right, you will get noticed, right? So I think that's very important. But I want to go back to why does it matter, right? And I've thought a lot about this, but I think if just understanding ultimately that you're writing your resume, right? Every single day that you are in the agency, whether you want to be an agent or not, you are writing your resume. What you do today matters, right? And so if you want to be an agent, right, and you see agency in your future, it's super important what you're doing today, right? Now, maybe there's some team members on the call that maybe you don't know if you want to be an agent, or maybe you don't want to. That's totally fine, right? It's still important that what you do today, it matters, right? And think, what story do you want to tell the sales leader that's about to hire you, right? Or if you don't want to be an agent, what story do you want to tell the next person that you might be interviewing with? What story do you want to tell them, right? What value did you create within the agency? I think that's a very important thing to think about. Whether you want to be an agent or not, today you are writing your resume. Super important, right? And so I think just by what you do, I think says a lot about branding yourself, right? And so that was kind of one of my first thoughts, Whitney, is, branding as a team member. I think the quickest, the easiest way to do that is to get really good at something, right? You're writing your resume today, whether or not you want to be an agent. That simple concept has stuck with me, and it just makes a lot of sense, and it's super important.
Absolutely. I love that. And whether you're an agent or you're just your team member, I've noticed, especially with my agency, the foundation of my agency is paying it forward and giving it back, or giving back, And I've noticed that my team members, they've even taken that and they said, Whitney, because we do that, because I'm a part of that, it makes me feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself. And then you can see them, and they took that and then they started taking this kind of pay it forward brand that we had and started making it their own. And then once they found something that they felt like they were a part of, right? They started building their resume. They started flourishing. And so I completely understand that, and I think that's amazing. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been cool. I think sometimes as team members, even as agents, we overlook the importance of that. And so that was one thing that I just wanted to really hammer down today is, as team members, I feel that the quickest way to build your brand is to get really good at what you do, right? Understand you're writing your resume, and, every day's not going to be easy, but if you just let that sit in your mind, right? You're writing your resume, whether you want to be an agent or not, you are writing your resume. And so let that pull you, let that motivate you to be the best you can and just get better at what you're doing. And as a result, you're going to get noticed, right? That's for me and my experience, that's how I've built my personal brand, and building it, I should say. So
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you, how do you get better? What are some ways, I know you say building your resume and getting better, but can you kind of go a little bit more in depth in that if you don't mind?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is in line with what I prepared. So this is great.
Beautiful.
Uh, so what, we always talk about this, and I love that you asked that, Whitney, because I think we talk a lot about we need to get better. We need to get better. We need to do
Mhm.
this. We need to get better. But I think sometimes we overlook what we need to do to get better, right? We set these big goals, but we never have a plan of what we need to do to hit those goals, right? And I think it's the same with this. I think the first thing that in order to get better is learn from people that are making it happen at a high level, right? Don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel, right? If Whitney and her agency are crushing commercial, right? They're crushing that side of the business. I want to learn from them, right? And so early on when I started, I wanted to get as much information. I wanted to learn from people, specifically the ones that were doing it at a high level and they were consistent. I wanted to learn what they were doing that I wasn't. And as I learned those things, you pick and choose what's going to be best for you, right? But I think the first thing is learn from people, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are people, agencies, team members that are absolutely crushing it in every single line out there, right? Learn from them, right? Take what they're doing and apply it to what you do. And as you do it, you're going to be able to make it your own. Okay. So learn from top producers. I think as you learn from top producers, the second thing that I would say is be innovative, right? Be creative. Take what you learn, make it your own, and then make it better. That is something that I have found a lot of passion in, right? I find, for example, a sales process. Um, I start to do the sales process that's working for other agents, for other team members, and I do it. And my whole goal is I want to make it better, right? I want to make it my
Mhm.
own. And so I think being innovative, be creative, right? Find ways to make it better. I think is something that I've done. Okay. Um, and then I think one of the last things here would be just to um, be authentic, right? Be yourself. I think if we talk about branding, right? Whitney is Whitney, right? And Whitney is unique because it's Whitney, right? And
Right.
we're all unique. We're all our own, person, right? And I think sometimes we try to be someone that we're not. But I think the advice that I've been given that I would continue to give is just be yourself, right? Be yourself, and be authentic. And I think that becomes a sustainable way of continuing to build your brand.
I
So
love that. I love that. I want to go back really quick about what you said about talking to people that have already done it, right? Or that know what they're talking about or already successful. I did that when I was an aspirant and wanted my agency, and so I just called around to the agents that were, the best of the best in this. And then if you're a team member on this call, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I called them and said, "Hey, I know that you're the best of the best." And I was, kind of, "You're awesome. You're this." And they said, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah. Can you teach me?" Because if you're the best, I want to be the best. And I don't want to step on your toes, but teach me, grasshopper. And I still do that as an agent. I do that with, I did that with David Peterson the other day. I said, "Hey, David, you have nice, pretty, shiny things. I want nice, pretty, shiny things. You have a lot of rental houses and you have about a million team members. I want a million team members. So teach me." And they're happy to. Most of these agents that or team members like you're happy to join a call and help because you're doing it. You figured it out. And I want to say, don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared to ask. If you want to get better, you have to ask. And I think that's incredibly important. And also, I want to go back on the genuine. Um, and I want to talk about the team member perspective too. There are a couple of different coaches for teams, and I use a couple of them, but everybody's different. You have something different that you bring to the table than the next coach that my team can use, right? Or somebody else's team can use. And I know my team kind of takes bits and pieces from both of our coaches, from you and David, and they put theirs together, and then it makes them the best team that they can be, right? But you're genuine, and that means so much. And as a team member, you're not going to be like your neighbor. You're just not, right? And so I think that is incredibly important, and I'm just going to second that, what you're saying. I think that is probably one of the most important things that you can do if you want to grow, is just be genuine, and be who you are. Even if it's a little rough around the edges, hey, you know what? Go with it. It'll work, right?
Totally. And to piggyback off of what you're saying of learning from the best, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think, if you're going to be taking advice from someone, I think you should, think about that advice and think about the person that's giving you that advice. Is that person living the life that you want to live, right? Are they getting the production that you want to get, right? And if you can answer yes to those questions, then take that advice and run with it, right? Try it out, make it part of what you do. But on the flip side, if they're giving you advice and they're not where you want to be or where you want to go, I would just, take it with a grain of salt, right? But I think we can learn something from everyone, right? But
Mm-hmm.
in my experience, if you see someone that's better than you and you want to be at that level, take their advice, right? Actually implement it, right? And I think that will, help you get to that next level, right? So,
Absolutely. I love it. Now, can you let's talk about some strategies, if you don't mind, that you use for effective marketing for yourself as a team member to grow leads and to grow relationships. Is there some specific things that you do? Networking. I mean, I would
yeah,
love to know kind of how you bring those leads in, and how you manifest and create those relationships and keep those relationships.
totally. I think really it all comes back to the law of giving, right? And it's something that I'm learning over time, but giving is, I mean, I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction, right? Whatever you put out there, whatever you focus on will expand. And so in my experience, a big part of my marketing strategy, my branding strategy is to, be genuine and to truly just give without expecting anything in return, right? And so for me to be able to help an agency with a simple, play to sell life and disability, it doesn't require a lot out of me, but I'm very I feel like I'm to a point now where I'm more apt to give, right? And I think that's something that I had to learn, right? And I think we oftentimes we want to give and we're hoping for something in return, right? But I think if you can get to a point where you can give and you're not expecting anything in return, number one, you're gonna feel a lot better. People are going to see that. They're gonna see that you're genuine, that you actually care,
Yeah.
which I think that goodwill will go farther than you expecting something in return, right? And so the law of giving has been very important for me as I'm growing my business, as I've been a team member. Whether that's spending an hour with an agency to hope that I can help them without asking anything in return, right? That goodwill comes back around, and guess what? They're all of a sudden part of the program, right? Or, as a team member in the team member seat, maybe that's going the extra mile with your customer, even though you may not want to and you've got other things to do, right? Just get in the mindset of being a giver, and it truly does come back. And that is one of the principles, one of the laws of life that I will always live by, because obviously it makes me feel good. I think life is great, especially when you're giving, right? There's nothing better in my eyes, which is a big motivating factor for me to be successful. Is I want to give back. I want to be a positive, have a positive impact on those around me, on the community. But in return, the cool thing with that is you give, you're going to get back more than what you gave, right? And I've seen it in my life. But for me, marketing strategy, branding strategy, that's kind of the foundation, right? Get into that mindset of being a giver, right? And then I think that's foundational. But then as far as, other strategies of marketing and branding myself, I think it's just understanding, especially as a team member, right? If we're talking, you're in the agency, you're a team member, you need to go above and beyond for your customers, right? You want to make sure, in my eyes, I want to make sure that my customers are having the best possible experience with me and with our office, right? Because I think that, that's where referrals are going to start happening, right? That goodwill, which becomes exponential, right? And so I think that's a simple thing that each of us team members can do, is be where your feet are, right? There's so much going on throughout the day that, maybe we're with a customer, maybe Whitney's my customer, and I know I've got to do all these sales goals and I've got to do these quotes, and I'm kind of getting behind, that it's easy for me to just skimp on the conversation with Whitney, right? But I think if we just take a few steps back and be where your feet are and just spend that time with Whitney, make sure I'm going above and beyond, taking care of her and her needs, it's going to come back for you. You're going to get referrals. You're going to develop relationships with these people, and they're going to want to give back in return. So again, the law of giving, I think is very important, and it's been foundational for me in my role. So
I love that. I love that. Sometimes it's hard. We're on go mode all the time. We forget to stop and be where your feet are. I think that's incredibly important. Incredibly important. Now let me ask you, because you're a pretty high performer. Do you guys, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you guys have internet leads? Do you go out and do you do networking events? How else do you bring these connections in?
yeah, that's a great question. So my agent, he has sponsored a golf tournament every single year for the last, I think this was our 12th year, which is great, right? We have a tournament every single year where we will, he will sponsor it. We'll have our tent there. And we'll do like some competition. So there's a putting competition for some cash. There's a hole-in-one cash prize. I think this year is like 15,000. And so
Wow.
people love that, right? Every single year they look forward to that event, and we drum up really good leads, right? And that's kind of my agent's niche, right? It's the golf, the golf course, right? So every year we'll do that event, and it's great, right? We get leads, so we can call on those, which are great. But it's also the goodwill within the community, right? People are up there at that golf course. They see, my agent's banner, and so it keeps it top of mind, right? And it's not, these events sometimes don't have the return right away that you're looking for, but I think long term, when that customer gets frustrated with their insurance, they've seen, Tyson Luthier around, they're going to give us a call, right? And so the golf course, that's an event we do every single year. We will go to home and garden shows. We haven't done them as much lately, but those are great events to go to for us. But the big one for us that I think is unique is the golf course. We'll sponsor that and kind of work that for our leads. Now, as far as internet leads, we've done them in the past. We're going to start, and I guess we stopped doing them. We're going to start those up again. I think it's great. It becomes predictable, so us, team members have something to work. And then I think, for us, we work a lot of the our older customers, the win backs, right? I think that's an easy, predictable thing that we can run every single month and call the people from a year and a half ago that left us. I think those are great, right? And so we will work those, and then just working the book. I think sometimes we overlook how many opportunities we have within the book to multi-line, right? And so we make sure we're taking good care of our customers, right? And working that book, which it's a gold mine. There's so many opportunities within that. And from that, we develop these relationships. We really work a lot on referrals. And I think for the referrals to work, it's going back to you need to make sure you're taking good care of your customers. So golf course for us is big. We will work, we're starting internet leads again. I know agents, and agencies that are writing a lot of auto, they're probably doing some sort of internet lead with other things, right? And so we're going to pick those back up, but then working, these reports, these lists that the company gives us of, okay, here's the win backs. Those are great. Those are easy conversations to call people back. And then just not forgetting about the book and the gold mine that is in the book at our fingertips. It's huge.
So important, isn't it?
So yeah.
Important. It's something that, so many team members and agents kind of look over because they're always focusing on raw new, and then you kind of forget that, hey, you have a gold mine right here within your book. So I just think that's incredibly important. I do want to ask you something. I want to go a little bit back because you said something that kind of triggered a big topic, staying top of mind. Now, I think that as an agent, I want to stay top of mind because it's my name, right? It's Whitney Mork State Farm. So, however, my team members have to stay top of mind too, right? And I would love to know how you stay top of mind with your community. I want to know, you're out here talking to people and talking to your community, and you're on the phone all the time and making relationships. What are ways that you have people that say, man, oh, that life insurance, I need it now. I'm going to call Colter Johnson. Hey, you know what? I need some new insurance. Colter's the only guy I know. I'm going to go with him, right?
Totally.
How do you do that?
I'm going to be vulnerable right now. Okay. So
I love it. Let's go.
I personally think that social media is super easy to stay top of mind with people, right? Everyone's glued to their darn phone. And so I think what, Agency Media Solutions, what they're doing is awesome, right? That's the new way of doing business is through social media. And so I think the easiest way to stay top of mind is to utilize social media if you aren't, right? Or if you don't know how, reach out to people that do, right? We've got resources everywhere. And so for me personally, here's where I'm vulnerable. I have not utilized social media like I probably should for our local community in growing the agency, right? And that's kind of something that I realize, and that's something that I need to do. However, the reason I say social media is so important is because, I've got the team member perspective, which I'm growing. My wife also has a spray tan business within our community, okay? And keeping it top of mind is so important, right? And sometimes we overthink, right? What do I have to post? What should I post? I got to have a perfect post. But I think if you're not posting, that's the first step. Start posting, right? Post regularly. It's funny because, my wife and I talk about it all the time, but, just yesterday, we're sitting at the kitchen table. My wife goes, woohoo, look at this. I was like, okay, cool. What's that? She's like, every single time I post, someone books a spray tan with me, right? Because it's top of mind, right? For me, within the team member perspective, every time I'm doing a post, I'm getting engagement. People are reaching out to me. They want to know more, right? And so within our agency and within the community, the easiest way to keep things top of mind is to have a social media strategy, have a marketing strategy, utilize social media. It's easy. It can be something that we can do every single day, but keeping it top of mind in that way allows people to remember, oh yeah, Whitney, forgot. Yeah, I need some life insurance, right? But if we think about, our lives, right? I know that I can barely think sometimes. I've got so much going on throughout the day that, if I went to look for a vehicle, but I didn't purchase it, for that vehicle to come back to my mind, I've got to be reminded somehow. So if I'm scrolling through social media and I see that dealership posted, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I do want a new vehicle, whatever it is, right? I get interested again. But I think we're so busy. We have so much going on throughout the day. So do our customers. So do the people that we're trying to reach. And so if we're not consistently staying on the top of their mind, which I think an easy way is social media, then they're going to forget. They're not going to remember, right? We just don't know what we don't know. And because we're so busy, we're not remembering that, Whitney Mork does life insurance, right? But if you can utilize social media in that way, keep it top of mind, you will get people remembering. And that's sometimes all it is we just got to stay relevant. I think an easy way to do that is social media. But I'm not even joking. Every time my wife posts, for her spray tan business, whatever the post is, she gets people booking, right? It gets people thinking about it. Same thing with what I'm doing in the team member perspective. And I think we can apply that just within our agency, right? Maybe throughout the week, you make it a goal to post every other day, right? And maybe one's about auto insurance, one's about fire, right? And follow the guidelines, obviously, but I think social media is a low-hanging fruit way of staying top of mind within your community for your agency.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I think it's with social media, a lot of people think, well, I want to get a lot of likes. It's not really about the likes. It's about the engagement. It's about what you can showcase for your community to be able to brand yourself, to show who you are and what you're about, your core values, the ridiculous things that have happened to you. With it's I post about my team and them giving back to the community. That's kind of what they've been known for, and it's not even my team or not me. It's my team. I take my guy Adam, right? He's been with me for 2.5 years, and I take him to the Alabama games. And y'all don't judge me, okay? Roll Tide. And we'll go somewhere, and I swear every time I hear Adam Hess, dude, you're a celebrity, man. Yeah, oh, you're like State Farm. And I have to look around and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Get it, Adam. But it's how he, is on social media, and he gives back and he puts himself out there. And I just think it's amazing what you can do with social media and online presence right now. And I kind of want to go into that with you as well, because you say you don't do a lot of social media, but I do see your reels everywhere with team member perspective. And I want to kind of dive into that a little bit too, because you're a team member yourself. You're not an agent. So I would love to talk about, how you came about with team member perspective and what it means to you, and then what you can offer these other team members, and how you can help them grow, because I think it's extremely important, and we don't really have any coaches like you right now who are team members. I think it's incredible. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go back. I will get to that. I want to mention something about posting or just utilizing social media, right? I think sometimes we know we need to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes we overlook the fact of what's keeping us from actually doing it, right? And so I spent
Mm-hmm.
a lot of time, and as
Yeah.
am growing the team member perspective, as I'm utilizing social media, because up until this point I haven't, right? And so there's a couple, doubts or limiting beliefs that I had and I still deal with about utilizing social media. I think one of them is, what are people going to think of me? Right? I think we worry so much about what other people are thinking that it keeps us from posting. Okay? We're worried about what they're going to say, what they're going to think. Right? And I've been there, and I am there frequently, right? And so, I think there's negative self-talk that we have that prevent us from actually utilizing social media, right? Because we're worried about what people will think, right? And so I just wanted to bring that up to just let, everyone on this call, everyone that will listen to this know, like, I think we all deal with that to a level,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, it's just have some courage, just do it, right? And once you do it, you'll get in the habit that starts to be more quiet and you don't have those thoughts as much as you did before. However, it is something that I feel like most people do deal with. Okay. So I think that's important because it kept me from wanting to utilize social media for the longest time. Okay. But as I've just taken action, consistent action, I've been able to work with that a little bit better. Okay. So that's been important for me. But as far as the team member perspective and what it means to me, I come from a sales background, and I was a door-to-door salesman for 2 years. So I learned a lot doing that. I was placed in a random area was in Tulsa, Oklahoma my first year, and then San Antonio, Texas my second year. I know nothing about these places. I know nothing about really anything here. I get assigned an area, or I go to an area, random area, right? I don't know much. And I just start knocking on random people's doors. Okay. And so I learned very quickly to deal with rejection. I learned very quickly how to help people identify or realize that, hey, here's a potential gap or problem with what you've got going on. I'm here because I have a solution, and here's why this solution should make sense for you. So I learned how to sell, right? And so I get into insurance thinking I'm going to crush it. I get humbled pretty quickly because insurance is complex, right? I'm quoting a lot of P&C, doing well there. But then when I started talking financial services and stuff that people aren't required to have, it became hard, right? And I wasn't getting far with customers. Every time they hear life insurance, it's like they shut off. They're not listening to me, right? And so I got discouraged. I stopped talking to my customers about those things. But then there came a point where it got brought up again. Hey, we need to do better at financial services. Like, okay, yeah, I agree. And so I committed to figuring it out, right? I committed to what had helped me learn how to sell door to door, which was training, right? And so I committed to training, figuring out what wasn't working, and then going to learn from people that were making it happen, learn from the best. So I committed to training. I started to see massive results. Okay. And so when I started to see those massive results, I started to make more money, right? My life began to change, right? Instead of feeling so stressed out about money, my relationship with money has vastly improved over the last couple of years. And I attribute it a lot to being able to sell and have convincing conversation with my customers. So making more money, my life changes. I feel like I'm happier, but also I feel very fulfilled with what I'm doing and helping people protect their financial futures. And so those benefits have kind of motivated me to get this thing going, right? And for the longest time, guys, I was having success. I had massive success one year, and I had people reaching out like, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? And I would just tell them, I'm talking to more people than you, right? And I didn't really want to pursue anything because I felt like I was an imposter, right? Imposter syndrome. It was heavy with me. But I had people reaching out, and I proved to myself year after year that I could do it consistently, and it was working. So I was like, well, let's see if it works for other team members, because the way that my life had changed by learning how to do this was incredible. And I wanted other team members to do that as well, and to see that it's really not that far-fetched, right? That they could do it too. So then I set out and I said, let's see if it's going to work for other team members. So I went coaching. Sure enough, it was working, right? So I slowly expanded this, but my ultimate, the reason I am doing this is to help team members, right? To help team members get out of their own heads and into the production they want, because I know if they can do that, their life's going to change, right? They're going to make more money, and they're going to be able to tap into their potential. So I think the benefits for the team members to learn this that I've experienced, I want to give. I want other team members to have that. But I also want to help agencies, right? I've been in the business going on 6 years, and I was fortunate enough to be placed with an agent that does really well, right? He cares. He wants to get to the next level. He wants to, be a top producer, a high performer. And so I've learned a lot from him, right? And so I want to give back and help other agencies implement what has helped us. And so I think ultimately giving back has been a big deal for me. Now, the last thing I'll mention with that is what we do is very important. And having an impact, right? And I know sometimes we get caught up in these promotions. We get caught up in, oh, we need to brand ourselves, market, all this stuff, that sometimes we forget about the impact we're having on our customers' lives. I've had some personal experiences in my life that have been very, very important, as far as helping me understand how important what we do is. And so to me, what we do is extremely important. And I just want to help team members be able to make a bigger impact, as well as have the lifestyle that they're looking for. So that's kind of I was here and there, but that's kind of how I feel as far as the team member perspective. So
Perfect. No, I love that, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. I know that, and with us, I think the team member perspective, we don't get a whole lot of team member perspective. We get a lot of agent perspective, right? Which is interesting, but not a lot of team member perspective. I know my agency really gets a lot out of it every week, and I can see our production just growing every single week. It's very exciting. And then they can relate to you as well. And I just love that. What advice do you have for other team members, right? Other team members on this call that are looking to, and I know we talked a lot about, giving back, but actually just getting out there and trying to market themselves better, trying to grow their brand. Is there anything that you would say to these team members that are wanting to put more money in their pocket, that are wanting to grow with their agency or get their own agency? How do they grow? How do they get more money?
Yes, I love that. I love this question, and there's probably a few ways I can answer it. But what I think is very important is to understand the root of what motivates you. You got to know your why, right? And it sounds cliche, but
Yeah.
it's very, very important, right? Not just the superficial why of, you know what, Whitney, I want to make more money. Great. Why do you want to make more money? I want to provide for my family. Great. Why do you want to provide for your family? Right. And so you just keep asking yourself why. Why do you want that? You're going to get to a point where you really see like, holy cow, that is truly what motivates me. That's what gets me out of bed. So I think understanding your why will allow you to get past that negative self-talk that we all have, right? That keep us from having conversations with our customers, that keep us from utilizing social media so we can grow our brand, right? We have these this negative self-talk, these limiting beliefs that keep us from doing what we want and actually tapping into our potential. And so understanding your why, but not just your superficial why, get down to the root of what motivates you. This comes from a big name in the mindset world, Dean Graziosi. He talks about knowing this and how it's so important. As I've studied, right, I want to get better, right, at life and at business. And so I study a lot of these people. I participate in their courses that they have because I want to learn from them. I want to know what they're doing that I'm not, that I can start doing, right? And as I'm going through this course that Dean Graziosi has with Tony Robbins, there's a section where he provides a tool and he talks about understanding what your why is. He calls the tool 7 levels deep, right? And the first question to start this is why is it important to you to be successful, right? You answer that question. Then you ask yourself, why is it important for me to whatever you answered, right? And you go down 7 levels. It's the same concept, right? Understanding the root of what motivates you, I think is so important because when times get tough, when those negative thoughts come in, when those limiting beliefs hit you, when it's time to perform and you've got a customer on the phone and you recognize, holy cow, there's a great opportunity here to talk about life insurance, your why will push through the negative thoughts, negative feelings that you have. And so that is probably my what I would say to team members to do is you've got to know your why, right? And that will pull you to work hard rather than feel like you have to push yourself.
Absolutely. Two big things I've heard today, okay? Don't be scared to be genuine. You just wave that freak flag, okay? And and know your why, okay? Know your why. Knowing your why is so important. Knowing your purpose. Yeah, I got to tell you that the reason, Colter, and you might not even know this about myself, but the reason why I'm an agent, the reason why I'm a State Farm agent, is because I was homeless at 18 after my dad died and didn't have any life insurance, right? He let it lapse. And I was working at a restaurant and a family came in and they started talking to me, and they said, hey, after talking to me, they said, I want to pay it forward to you. I want to pay for you to go back and go to college and finish. But there's three things you need to do. One, you need to graduate. Two, you need to find your why. Do you know what your why is? And I said, no. And they said, it's your purpose. You need to find your purpose, right? And then three, I want you to pay it forward and give it back. Give back. And if you can, put somebody else through college one day, perfect. If not, just be a good person. And that's all I want from you. And they did. A random family gave me enough money to go back to school and finish college. And then 14 years later, I became a state farm agent. And I get to protect people so that what happened to my family doesn't happen to theirs, right? My parents were married for almost 40 years when my dad passed away and had no life insurance. And my mom lost everything, absolutely everything. And so I think that what you just said is so absolutely profound. I know my purpose every single day when I walk in. And I think that it's really sad when you start feeling like you're just coming and walking in every day and you don't know why, or you don't know what makes you happy. And I strongly suggest, is if you're a team member, even agents, why are we doing this? Right now, there's a lot of negativity too sometimes, and a lot of changes, and it gets hard sometimes. I mean, all the time, and sometimes we forget why we're doing this, why we're protecting people, why we're walking into this agency every day, and why we're doing it, and doing it the right way. We're truly helping, and we're changing people's lives. We're protecting that single mom, that if something happens to her, she needs life insurance. That family that's there, oh my goodness, what we do matters. And so I hope everybody on this call, if you don't know your why or your purpose, that you truly, look at yourself in the mirror and find that and figure out, what you stand for. It's incredibly important, and it'll make you want to wake up in the morning and come to work, and I can see that you found yours, and I love that. I kind of want to, if you don't mind, kind of open it up to anybody that has any questions for you about, if you're a team member or agent, about either team member perspective, or if you're a team member that has questions about, marketing, or, how to grow your wallet, how to help people, anything, for Colter, because he's one of the best. Anybody got any questions? Oh, Nakobe has a question. Let's see. Nakobe, you can put your mic off mute. Adam, I think you had a question. We'll let Nakobe figure that out.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So here's my question. How do you find the balance between wanting to get better, because I know we're on this call because we want to get better, and also like not getting burnt out and trying to do a million different things at once?
That's a great question, Adam. I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's something that I struggle with a little bit, because I'm such a perfectionist that sometimes I'll get into the office. Okay, I'm just getting an inside look of Colter's brain. Okay, I'll get in the office and I know what I need to do. and I literally will not stop until it gets done. Okay. Which it's a two-edged sword. It's great. But like yesterday, I didn't even take a lunch. Okay. And it's hard. And I'm working on that, because if I would take a break, I'd perform a lot better. So I am a perfectionist, right? And so there is a balance that I'm working with. But I would say the single most important thing for me to find that balance of wanting to get better, but also not getting burnt out, is something that I learned from a book called The Gap and the Gain. If you have not read it, I highly suggest it. But basically, The Gap and the Gain, the concept is that more often than not, we live in the gap, right? We're here, but we want to be here, right? So it creates this gap. And so we're never happy, because we're always looking to get to that next level. We're looking at that gap. That's where we're living, right? And instead, they talk about how to just measure backwards, right? Go back a year. Look how far you've come within that year, right? Measure backwards and be grateful for the progress that you've made, right? And so, how to make that something to do every single day, something that I've implemented that have helped me kind of rewire the way I'm thinking, because yeah, it is tough and I get burnt out. I feel like, I think we all probably do at some extent, because we're wanting to get somewhere else where we're not, right? And so what I do every single day, or as often as I can, is at night I will I will journal. There's 3 parts to my journal that I do. The first part is I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for specific to today. Okay, so I'll really just replay the day in my mind and think about, holy cow, I was grateful that, Agency Media Solutions had me on for a call, right? Whatever it is specific to that day, I'm going to write 3 things I'm grateful for. Then I'm going to write 3 wins that I had that day. And then the last part is I want to write 3 wins that I want to have tomorrow. Okay. And so that simple exercise, as I've done it consistently, it's rewired the way that I'm thinking, because I'm always looking at that gap, right? As a high performer, I want to get to that next level. I'm never complacent, which is great. However, it's a two-edged sword, because like you're saying, Adam, I do feel like I get burnt out. But that simple exercise has literally helped me rewire the way I'm thinking, which helps me feel better about where I am. And the cool thing is it really propels me forward. And so I journal every single night and as I do that, I'm really rewiring the way I'm viewing my reality. And I'm thinking, here's 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 wins I had today, and 3 wins I hope to have tomorrow.
Nice. I love that. I love that. All right. So we have from Coraline. It says, piggybacking off of Adam's question, did you ever have a problem balancing out networking, community activities, etc., while focusing on your monthly agency goals, like apps to write? I don't have accessibility to a mic, otherwise I'd ask verbally. That's okay.
No, I love that, Coraline, and I hope I pronounced that right. But that's a great question. And I think, I've struggled with balancing my activities and managing my time. But I would say one thing that has helped me, and it's always be finding. Okay. On the days that you're writing a lot of apps, that you don't feel like you can find time, you've got to make time. Always be finding. Make sure your pipeline's being full, whether that's calling on past customers that have left us, right? Calling on, quotes that we did last year that didn't close, calling on leads that you got from an event, utilizing social media. Do something every single day. And I would just block out, maybe even if it's only 20 minutes of your day, right? Start there. Do something where you can work on acquiring new customers, right? Whether, whatever it is that you do, just make sure that's something that you're doing every single day. And I think as you put that as part of your priorities and something you'll get done, you will find more balance. At least I have. So always be finding.
Love it. Love it. Anybody else? No? All All right. Well, you guys, this is almost to the end. Colter, you have been awesome. I truly appreciate you. Team member perspective has been absolutely wonderful for so many agencies. And I know it's just started, so I know you have a long, successful journey in front of you. I thank you for, what you've done for my team. I'm excited to watch you grow. And just, like Ann said on the text, she said she appreciates your honesty and vulnerability. I think that sometimes we, especially as team members, um, you kind of have to be vulnerable sometimes. That's how you grow, right? So no, I appreciate that as well. Um, is there anything else you want to leave with, Colter, to tell our team and agents?
I think I'll end on one thing that I didn't know where it was going to fit in, but it's really helped me with everything we've talked about today. And it's something that I've learned from someone else. This isn't something that I created, which kind of reiterates the importance of learning from people that are doing it at a high level. But Alex Hormozy, he's been an icon for me, someone that I've looked to as far as marketing, growing a business. He shares a concept of he explains he's not really good at gratitude, which I totally get, right? Sometimes we create these things where like, oh, okay, I'm grateful for this, yada, yada. And he says that gratitude just hasn't worked for him. But what he does is he basically imagines that he's in his 85-year-old body, okay? And he imagines basically being able to go back to where he is right now, right? And so how that perspective, if you're an 85-year-old person, what you would give to be, 27-year-old Colter, right? And I loved that concept of really just learning to appreciate what we do and what we're doing every single day. You're your 85-year-old self, go back in time, you're where you are right now. And that's really helped me really embrace gratitude and understand how that can help me with everything that I do. So that is one thing that I wanted to add. I think that's so important and will help us with all of these problems that we have, and find a way to work through them. So
Gratitude, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Can you let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, or how they can find about team member perspective?
yes, I just threw in the website
Ah,
tmperspective.com. That's the easiest way. And there's some place where you can reach out to me. And if you're having an issue with that, it's pretty self-explanatory, but message me on Facebook, wherever you can find me. I'm on all of those platforms, so I will respond.
perfect. Thank you so much for being on our call. I truly appreciate you. I know that there are a lot of, especially there's a lot of team members on here too that, they're just trying to grow, and this means a lot to be on this call. You guys, don't forget, I know I have it in the link. If you want to join on the June 14th event for Scaling with Profitability, the link is in here as well. And then we have Colter's teammemberperspective.com. It's tmperspective.com, where you can go and look that up for his coaching. He's been amazing. And then we have Agency Media Solutions. I do a call on the second Tuesday of every month at 2 p.m., where we talk everything from personal branding, marketing, events. Next month, we have David Peterson on the call. And I'm just extremely excited about, the future of this marketing masterclass with AMS. There's a lot that we're going to do with agents, and kind of help you align your core values with our enterprise's core values, and grow together. So you guys have a wonderful day, have a wonderful year, and let's grow together. We got this.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Colter. I appreciate you.